thinking about async versus sync communication, aka asynchronous versus synchronous communication. And I'm thinking about this because the last couple books I've read, which are kind of, well, this I'm still in the middle of, but yeah, these are like epistolary books, basically books about letters, right? So the letters are asynchronous communication, right? They're communication that you write to someone, then you have to wait, and then you receive a response, right? So it's kind of, yeah, it's asynchronous, and that kind of communication has some kind of essence to it that makes it kind of different to synchronous communication. And the other book I've read, this one, which is fucking thick as hell, but I've finished it. This book does not explicitly have a lot of like async communication in the epistolary sense, as in letters, but it does have some kind of plot points that are kind of asynchronous in a way, in the sense that, for example, a character reads some other character's diary, and yeah, also I've also read some other people's diary, some from a French guy that I found on Twitter, and well, actually, yeah, well, and yeah, essentially reading someone's diary is kind of asynchronous communication, right? And writing your own diary or writing or journaling and all that kind of stuff is also asynchronous communication. And I was like, I want to think about this. And yeah, the first aspect that came to mind was kind of intimacy, right? It's like, because, for example, in this book, it's a fictional book, so it has like letters from a person to like family members to like some kind of lover or something like that. I don't really understand it yet, but yeah, to different people. And in the ones that, and there are some that kind of are kind of intimate, right? But they are still letters and they are asynchronous, right? So it's like, it's a strange thing, right? Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like, if it builds real intimacy, like what real intimacy means, or like what real epistolary intimacy means, and if that's different from real physical intimacy, or like real, not maybe, yeah, physical, or like more like synchronous intimacy. Like, how are these different? Because, for example, an anecdote that comes to mind is like the classic talking through texting and all that, just for the, or like in dating apps, just for like the thrill of it, right? Just to get like validation and all that. That's some kind of intimacy, I guess, right? If it gets kind of heated, I guess. But if you know that there is no expectation of the physical or something like that, it comes in the context of like COVID and all that. I think people did that and all that, right? So yeah, it's like intimacy through text, or like, yeah, well, maybe that's not that asynchronous, but it has an aspect of asynchronous, because it's not like, if it's not like straight up like conversating like in the same, if it's not like IM messaging, I don't know, because there IM messaging has like both sides of it, right? You can do it simultaneously, but you can also like leave texts to read for another time, right? Yeah, there is kind of a mix. I also kind of wanted to think about that, right? Like how texting is kind of this intermediate grounds, which is that is strange, right? And I'm not sure if I like it or if I don't like it. That's the thing. Because, for example, I do think that I communicate better through text. Not through text. I communicate better async, I think. That's kind of my issue. That I think I communicate better async. And live texting is not async, but the texting as a medium kind of has this expectation of live, right? Of life. Or like, yeah. of synchronous, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's not a big expectation, but I think there is some kind of underlying expectation of it that does have this synchronous thing, right? And I think I do communicate better in an async way. Because, for example, I can pause here. I mean, I didn't really want to pause. I just did it for the thing. I actually just paused and unpaused. But there are some times where it is helpful, right? When pausing, thinking for a couple minutes, and then unpausing is helpful. Or, for example, me rewatching this and then timestamping or something. I don't know. There is some kind of the magic. Asynchronous communication has a lot of potential and magic in the thing, right? It has the ability to be discovered by others. Also, it is kind of compounding. Well, not compounding maybe, but it is kind of you can leave it there, and it can be accessed and re-accessed with more, when it's needed. And I like that about it, right? I don't know. But obviously synchronous communication, especially live, in the sense of like being in front of each other, it's very nice. It's like nice in other ways, right? It's like, I don't know, sharing a physical space is nice. Seeing like the micro reactions or whatever is nice. Like perceiving space is nice. I don't know, like the obvious things. And or drinking something, eating, like doing stuff in the world, like being, exploring real terrain, kind of, experiencing weather events, all that kind of stuff. Like obvious shit, essentially. But in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, in my personal case, I think to the expense of communication, right? To the expense of, I don't know if density of, or if, because I'm not really a dense communicator, I think, anyways, but of like accurate portrayal of what's going on in the head to like outside, I think. And I don't know, I was thinking also about journaling, right? Because like finding someone's journal, something that happens in this book, for example, is like some kind of powerful thing. And in this book concretely, that finding that journal was kind of seemed like a big plot point, right? I forgot what I was saying. Something about this having a plot point. The journal, finding the journal being a big plot point in this. Essentially it's a big plot point. Well, it kind of, it shapes that character. Reading that other character's journal shapes the reader, right? Or the character reader. You get it. That it shapes them as a person, right? Well, it shapes him as a person. And in the same way, it's kind of reading these things that can be discovered by others asyncly is a shaping force. And it's kind of, I like to be a part of that too, right? And async communication, kind of by design or by like virtue of it or whatever, is very like that. It has this, I've said it, ability of being discovered by others, but like the point of that is that it has this impactful kind of like openness to serendipity thing that I like, right? I guess this ties into my past video and into like the meta reflection that I did in my past video. I talked about how that maybe that video was a bad idea to make, but I think something about the serendipity of it, I don't know, that kind of the unlimited upside, it's kind of like it can elevate every risk calculation to like infinity, right? So I don't know, something about making it asynchronous and public kind of redeems a part of like the lack of courage that I have in regards to that kind of to like the probably more obvious communication route that I could have taken in that sense, right? I think that is kind of what is in my mind at the moment relating to my past video. And I don't know, I think, yeah, maybe this is all like redundant information, but I wanted to mention, like, tying into the better communicator, I don't think it's like exclusive to me. I think that, yeah, there is something powerful about the letter or like long text or yeah, I don't know, to like the writing medium, like the condensing medium, maybe even these kind of videos, maybe these videos to a lesser extent, but to writing a letter or a message or something like that, there is something to it that is kind of, yeah, I don't know, when I read this book, for example, it's like you can feel nice, you can really feel like in the letters that, I don't know, that there is some energy to it that is nice to tap into, right? And it's like, whoa, it's really alive, right? Even though the people are probably long dead, but the letters remain alive, right? That's kind of interesting. And like, yeah, reading this book too, because it's also epistolary, and this book was written, I guess, last year or the last couple of years, but the setting is also like in the past, right? I think May 68th, something like that. Yeah, Paris, May 68th, or well, 68th, years 1968. In that kind of movement, and yeah, in the context of France and the May of those protests, and like Vietnam War in the United States and all that. So, like this kind of, in the meta sense of the writer in the present, writing in the mindset of someone in that era, it kind of like, I think he does a good job of like making you forget it's a book, like, right? You can read it and you can feel like, oh, there is something happening right now, right? Because the letters are like written with this kind of tension, but like kind of realistic type of tension that, for example, in like the tension that I feel right now with the Russia-Ukraine war, for example, right? It is a war that is happening right now, but whose effects I cannot really directly feel contrasted to someone in Russia, for example, right? So you can sense this same energy, right? Like this Kiev at war energy. The people in Kiev, some of them are probably really worried, but eventually, like, it's like you get used to it, right? There is kind of that get used to it feeling that I think gets transmitted really well in what I've read of the book at the moment, for example, right? And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was like that kind of being able to tap into that is interesting, right? And I like that. I don't know. And I don't know. I guess synchronous communication has the good thing that it makes you present, right? And I like that as well, right? I like being present sometimes, in contrast to just like living in the past or like living in the future or whatever. Kind of like being present and like, I don't know. There is something to that is nice. So yeah, but I like both, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. But that I'm frustrated about being bad at one of them, and yeah, I don't know, not better than the one of them, but that I feel better at the other one. I guess that's all I wanted to say. I probably have more of me, but yeah, the other video was 20 minutes. This is 14. This is the 73rd video of my 100 video series. So yeah, bye. Oh, instead of leaving this one, I will leave the previous one in case you want to watch that one, I guess.